This recess period was cut short and members were requested to return due to the importance of an urgency of matters to be discussed in this session. Mr. Speaker, sir, you will recall that at the time of my last address to this House on June 11, the conflict between the Republic of South Sudan and Sudan had prompted a communique from the African Union Peace and Security Council. The communique required both parties, that is, Sudan and South Sudan, to pull their forces out of Abyei and Panthau so as to stop hostilities immediately and to resume negotiations in Addis Ababa without preconditions. These demands were also adopted by the United Nations Security Council through its resolution 2046. The United Nations Security Council called for the negotiations to be completed within 3 months. In the event an agreement was not reached, the African Union High Implementation Panel would impose a binding solution to the outstanding issues. The deadlines conferred an even greater urgency to come to an agreement in Addis Ababa. In that last address, I also said we will resolve the impasse in a way that would respect fully the sovereignty of the Republic of South Sudan and protect the wealth, which is the rightful inheritance of our people. So from 22nd to 28th September, and instead of attending the United Nations General Assembly in New York, as was initially planned, I joined our negotiating team in Addis Ababa because it was imperative that we concluded an agreement with President Bashir on the outstanding post-accession matters. On the 27th September, 9 agreements were signed in an official ceremony which was witnessed by representatives from IGAD, the African Union, and members of the international community who have been supporting us throughout the negotiations. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, sir, to summarize for the House all these agreements that were reached. 1, both parties committed themselves to immediately operationalize the joint border verification and monitoring mechanism and the safe demilitarized border zone in accordance with the security map presented by the AU-HIP in November 2011. 2, we endorsed the framework agreement on the status of nationals of the other state, the implementation of which will be overseen by a committee co-chaired by the ministers of interior in the two countries. This agreement provides the 4 freedoms of residence, movement, undertaking economic activities, and acquiring and disposing of a property. This point, of course, there are many people who are very concerned about it. People are concerned that if Sudanese are allowed to come to South Sudan, then they will come and occupy all our lands. Where are you if your land is occupied in your presence? It is you who are selling the land. It is not the Jalaba who comes and just take it. So, if you are timid that you know this man is coming now to do this to me, surely you don't know what you are doing. You have your own people who have properties in the north. Is it bad for them to own that property? Or is it bad for the northerners who have property in South Sudan to come and see what they can do to that property? So let people not panic because of this provision. We signed an agreement on border issues, including border demarcation, stating that the demarcation process must start very soon as possible. The agreement commits both countries to the formation of a joint border commission, which we have already done. It further commits both sides to the payment of $100,000 to joint escrow accounts, which we have also done, and finally commits both sides to ensuring a soft border that encourages economic activities. Again, on this, people should not really panic about cross-border economic activities. Lofi Buddha, who have been rotten in the stores in Khartoum, it will be you who will allow them to come in because you will get your concession and then you allow it in. But if you refuse, that was the bribery the speaker was talking about. If you don't allow yourself to be used, then the expired goods cannot come to South Sudan from Khartoum. They will bring only the goods that will benefit the citizens. One point which has generated a lot of concerns and misinformation is the Mile 14. That is the Whitley-Monroe Strip. This strip of land belongs to Malu al-Dinka in northern Bahr al-Ghazal. It was the British administration which allowed the Rezegat to use it for grazing and hunting. Now, we agreed to give this area a special arrangement in which we completely agreed to demilitarize it, that there should be no, we maintain the status quo of the tribal mechanism, which has been existing for a very long time, to resolve all the disputes in the area. And the two armed forces, SPLA and the Sudan Armed Forces, must move out of the river, 10 kilometers to each side. The joint border verification and monitoring mechanism will ensure that there will be no military forces or armed civilians moving in this area. Now, our people are demonstrating of having been given, their land has been given away, but I don't think that, the negotiating team and myself can give any piece of land of South Sudan to anybody. We cannot do it. But I respect the opinions of the people. All those who are insulting, who are doing what, I respect their opinion. It is their democratic right. But they must know that they are doing it to the interest of the people. It should not be for the interest of very small groups that want to gain something out of it by inciting the people with the government. This is it. It is not the first time for me to see this. I believe, in 2002, when I signed Machako's protocol, there was that row in the leadership of the SPLM, SPLA, that I have cut off the rest of Sudan, and I have concentrated on South Sudan. Why are you now sitting here celebrating the independence had I not signed that agreement? This is what is repeating itself now. If suppose I say, okay, if that agreement is bad, then let us go and fight. How many people will go with me? Yes? I don't think that the people who are now raising slogans on the streets would even go there. Let us forget about it. Allow me, Right Honorable Speaker, to reiterate at this point that we are committed to defining borders based on legal and historical facts, and that the territorial integrity of our country is vested in the national government. Therefore, no one will assume this responsibility that belongs to the national level of government. There is no basis for deciding borders by force, and we have agreed on this, that these borders should not be decided by force, by propaganda or inflammatory claims. We have consistently maintained that the 1st January 1956 borderline of demarcation established upon Sudan's independence and referred to and referenced by the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, CPA, is the basis for any discussion. Although we don't know where the border is, because you can define the border according to your own desire. We have never relinquished our claim on Pantog, the homeland of the Panaru Dinka. So the records are very clear about these areas, and we also unequivocally claim Magenes, Joda, Kafia Kingi, Hovred Nahas, Kakati Jaria, and Whitley, Monroe Strip, Babanish, and all South Sudan territories of the 1st January 1956. The next cluster of agreements is in the economic sector, and this was signed on our behalf by Comrade Pagan, the Secretary General of the SPLM, and who was the lead negotiator. An agreement was signed also on trade and trade-related issues, where we are expected to develop independent trade policies and form a joint ministerial committee on trade. We reach agreements on cooperation on central banking. This will enable us to easily exchange our currencies. This is something we are already doing with other countries. We are now doing this thing with countries like Uganda, like Kenya. We don't have any problem in exchanging this money. So we would have to do it with Sudan, because we need to trade among ourselves. A framework agreement was also reached to facilitate post-benefit payment. A joint ministerial committee will be formed with a mandate of discussing and reaching agreement on all issues related to pension administration. We have so many senior officials who were working in Sudan. They have now been laid off, and they have not been paid their pensions. So we should not just leave it like that. We have to claim all this money so that they are paid. We reach an agreement on oil and certain economic matters. We have agreed that the resumption of oil production, processing, and transportation is to start. And the Minister of Petroleum and Mining recently visited the oil fields to assess and then estimate the time when the oil will have to start flowing again. Instructions will be given to all the oil operating companies to start the oil production in all the operating blocks. The oil production will be done in a very transparent manner, in which we shall have a measuring meter that records all the oil which is pumped from South Sudan into the pipelines to Port Sudan. We have also agreed on transit fees of $1 per barrel, a processing fee of $1.6 per barrel, and transportation fees of $8.4 per barrel for the Guinea-Pork pipeline. That is the pipeline in the western Nile. That is the Unity State. And fees of $6.5 per barrel for the Petrodar pipeline. Apart from these payments, we will make for the transportation of our oil, we have also agreed to assist the government of Sudan with transitional financial arrangements, TFA. We call it assistance. The Sudan does not want the word assistance. They think that South Sudan is too young to assist such a mighty country like Sudan. So we accepted to be called TFA, Transitional Financial Assistance Arrangement. That is $3.2 billion, and this will be paid in 3.5 years. The final cluster of agreements was the cooperation agreement between the Republic of South Sudan and Sudan, which we signed together with President Bashir. The cooperation agreement contains principles of cooperation, which stress the establishment of two viable states cooperating across a range of areas of common interest. The agreement commits the parties to respect the principles of the African Union and the United Nations Charter with regards to relations and cooperation between states, respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity. The agreement also confirms the other signed agreements, which I have already mentioned before, and we agree that the issue of disputed and claimed border areas should be completed as soon as possible. Of course, should there be no agreement, we will have to look for arbitration about all these disputed and claimed areas. On Abyei, we did not come to any agreement. The AU-HIP made a proposal by which Abyei would hold a referendum in October 2013, and by which a nominee of the African Union would chair the Abyei Referendum Commission. Myself and my team accepted the proposal in its totality, but it was rejected by the government of Sudan in its totality, and they went back to the proposal of 2011, which was talking about partitioning of Abyei, and which we have rejected a long time ago. They think that this would be the only solution to the Abyei problem, so that the Masseria would take the northern part of Abyei. Of course, that is a non-starter. Mr. Speaker, sir, all the honorable members, you were recalled from your recess to undertake the important next step of ratifying these agreements, which I have just presented to you. As South Sudan is now an independent state, however, members will be aware that resumption of the oil production cannot be immediate, but it is a process that will require some months to get back on track. The reason is very simple, and it has been explained by the members of the negotiating team, because it is now almost 9 months since the oil production was shut down. The pipelines need to be cleaned first, and so once they finish cleaning, then the oil production will start to flow again. For this reason, the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning has made it clear that the austerity measures adopted by this government will remain in force until the end of the 2012-2013 fiscal year. There have been challenges in implementing these very tough cuts, but these have been manageable for all this time, and the support of the honorable members in this respect has been invaluable. In these challenging times of austerity measures, the government has seized the opportunity to work even more rigorously towards achieving efficiency in our public service. We have adopted measures to achieve greater fiscal discipline, improve budget execution, and promote integrity in our financial institutions. Allow me at this point to commend this House for passing the essential legislation to ensure that we continue on our path towards greater efficiency and transparency to the benefit of the people of South Sudan. This August House has enacted legislation that holds public officials accountable and brings the management the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing provisional order number 29 of 2012. The South Sudan Audit Chamber Act of 2011 and the Public Financial Management and Accountability Act 2011. Despite the economic peril we have faced through the shutdown in oil production, I'm encouraged that this period of austerity has strengthened our resolve to press ahead in our reform agenda and has allowed us to lay a strong foundation for more efficient and accountable governance beyond the austerity period. Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, it is therefore my hope and belief that this August House will speedily rectify this agreement and lend me the support in the implementation, which I believe will create an environment of stability and improve our economic situation and lives of our people. The people of South Sudan have suffered a lot, and I have told you on several occasions that under my leadership, I will do all that it takes to prevent a return to war with any country. Well, those who are beating drums won war, but I have not less than 20 years fighting. I don't know how many years did they fight. It's time that we focus all our energies in the development of our young country, and I will ensure that the Republic of South Sudan is on the road to development and prosperity. I hereby declare this third session of the year open. Thank you all very much, and God bless you.